Hello and thanks for watching or listening to what is episode 34 of VIP Boxing's Bell to Bell podcast. You might be watching on YouTube, or you've downloaded and you're listening to us on Spotify or iTunes. And if you can leave us a review, we'd really appreciate this. I'm Steve Lillis, and as usual, my co-host John Evans, sporting a US Marine haircut, which is quite impressive. Good to see you, John, and respect to your barber.
Look like a US Marine, but twice as hard, Steve.
I know you're hard, mate. You used to grapple, mate. I know how tough you are. We've got some great debates this week. I know you'll have something to say, John, about 2 or 3 of them. Our special guest this week, he was late 90s, early 2000s, I think it was, a very good domestic super featherweight. He then became a second, a trainer, a promoter, a manager, a matchmaker. He's done it all. He's done about 50,000 personal training sessions this year alone, even though we've been locked down most of the time. It's the King of Newark, Mr. Carl Greaves, the man from Middle England. How are you, Carl?
I'm all good, Steve. All good, mate.
It was good to see you Saturday, mate. And I will say I was impressed with your fighter, Levi Giles. Gave away a lot of weight. I think the first round, a bit early doors in the fight, took him by surprise against Pilkington, who was that heavy. But once he got in his rhythm, I think you've got a good fighter there, Carl.
Yeah, he's a very good kid. Up and coming prospect, 9-0 now. So let's just see how far he can go.
Yeah, it's good. These fight zone shows, Carl, for giving all these lads an opportunity, aren't they? They must be all desperate, banging on to get on these cards now, try and get some momentum back in my career again.
Yeah, if you're a good ticket seller, it's a great platform to go on. And obviously, if you've got a deal with Dennis, even better, because obviously he's got you under contract and he's paying for the top of the bill and the chief support. So fantastic opportunity for the fighters now. It's a good platform, and like Steve said, what a fantastic setup. I mean, when I walked in there, I couldn't believe how good it was, and fair play to him, everybody who was involved.
Right. All right. Well, I think I might touch on fans fight zone on something I've got later on in the pod, but we'll go there then. You know how it works, Carl. This is your second appearance. If you're still gassing after 3 minutes, what happens, Mr. Evans?
The bell comes in, Carl.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll start with round 1 when you've got the clock going, John, and it's your first topic.
Yeah, it's sort of like the end of an era this week in Newcastle, isn't it? Where the final Matchroom show on Sky. Do you know what? Some people love him, some people hate him, but what a job Eddie Hearn's done, I think, boosting the profile of boxing in Britain. I think a lot of it's been done by the force of his personality as well. People have latched on to Eddie, haven't they? Even if it's an average card, he gets his face in front of the cameras, could sell sand to the Arabs, and I think he's done a hell of a job. When you look at the early shows with Kelbrook and Lovemore Undo at Hillsborough and Darren Barker against Dominic Spada, was it? The very early shows.
I was at the Olympia, I think it was, yeah.
Incredible, to get 90,000 in Wembley Stadium for Joshua. Maybe it's got a little bit stale, maybe a little bit of complacency set in the last year. It seems like any decent fight's gone on pay-per-view, and maybe they've not turned enough stars from the latest Olympic cycle. But some shoes I think we're going to talk about who's going to fill the gap. But what a hole they've got to fill. What a gap he's left. Big opportunity for whoever does it. But what an era it's been really for boxing in Britain.
Yeah, look, we've got to get Carl's opinion, so I'll just be quick. Eddie's not everyone's cup of tea, but as you say, John, what he's done is fantastic. And what he's done with fighters and how he's built them into stars. I'll use Anthony Crolla as a quick example. Eddie took him on. He'd lost to Gary Sykes for the second time in a prize fighter. I think he'd been knocked out by Derry Matthews. He drew with Derry Matthews, and he made him into an arena fighter. Obviously, Ant Crolla had some great narratives behind him, but there's an example of what Eddie done with these fighters, and big shoes to fill.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie's a fantastic promoter, fantastic businessman, but he's a massive boxing fan. And obviously, like he said, he wants to move boxing forward. He wants to move Matchroom forward. I mean, Matchroom's going to be doing all the media and the production from what I can gather. So, I mean, it's massive opportunities for boxers now in this country with all the platforms we've got, with obviously Fight Zone, Sky Sports, BT Sports, DAZN and Channel 5. I mean, it's never been in such a better place, in my opinion, and what a great opportunity for all these up and coming fighters now.
I mean, look at someone like Jason Cunningham. You know, 7 or 8 years ago, Jason Cunningham, he would have been main support at Huddersfield Leisure Centre, wouldn't he? But all of a sudden, he's in a hell of a fight with Yafai. He gets a load of publicity and he'll get big fights going on from that. And the purses Jason will probably get now for the rest of his career just wouldn't have been around a few years ago.
You know, as you say, you know, it was that, you know, he took boxing out of leisure centres, council-owned leisure centres, and moved them to arenas. There was fights going on in arenas that were no way were arena fights. But okay, round 2. Well, the sky is still looking blue, I think, for Sky Sports. They're still going to continue in boxing. You know, look, people had known for a week or so. It come out on, you know, it hasn't been officially announced that Ben Shalom, a boxer, and John Wishoes, and it looks like they're going to be the lead promoters, the lead people in it. It's a left field move, but I think, you know, from what I can gather, Sky are going to give boxing plenty of airtime. There's a lot of speculation that Top Rank are going to get an output deal, and we're going to see a lot of their shows overnight. And, you know, again, what you were saying about stars being made from Eddie, if they can do it right, their problem's going to be, I think, the new promoters isn't getting prospects. There's a lot of them about, you know, Carl's got a hatful, Steve Wood's got a few, you know, they're all over the country, these prospects. Their problem's going to be signing the elite fighters who can headline shows, but they've got a great opportunity. There'll be people in boxing, you know, maybe turning their nose up that Sky have gone to left field, if what we believed is true, and we know it is. If they've got an opportunity, it's that, let's hope they take it with both hands, because if they do, it's only good for boxing and the boxers.
Yeah, I mean, I felt really sorry for John, obviously, when he moved away from Matchroom. I mean, he's run Matchroom for 20 odd years, done a fantastic job. And obviously, I know Eddie come in and obviously took over, and John really had to move on. Really, he got sort of like pushed out. I think it was wanted some new faces in, and John sort of like just went his own way. And obviously, Sky know that John's very, very good at his job. He's a very well liked man. Nobody's got a bad word to say against him. And obviously, what happened was he got working with the Ultimate Boxer, with Ben Shalom, and obviously I was head of boxing of Ultimate Boxer. And they asked me what I thought of John. I said, a very, very good guy, knows the game inside out. And they asked me if they would mind if he took over as head of boxing of Ultimate Boxer and if I'd just do the matchmaking. I said, yeah, I was really happy about that. So we had a show together in December, obviously on the BT Sport. Wasn't the best of shows. We was limited to how many fights we could have on, and the pull-outs and people failing COVID testing. Me and John worked very well together, very closely. And I mean, it's great for the likes of myself and Steve Wood and Errol Johnson and all Steffi, well, all the other promoters, because we're all going to get an opportunity now. I mean, they're going to be looking for fighters. I mean, they're going to want headliners, and they're going to need bigger names, and they're going to be looking for fighters that's not under contract. But I mean, it's great for boxing, and I think they've got 20 fights a year over 4 years, so plenty of work there, and let's hope it really works out for him. I mean, I'm really excited about it, and it's another, like I say, it's another big opportunity. Eddie's moved on to DAZN, and he's left all us now with an opportunity to have a few fighters on Sky.
Oh. Round 3, Carl, I think you got a point about people, so we say, coming into boxing through the back door without licenses.
Yeah, I just think it's hard, really. I mean, you've got the likes of myself. Well, I mean, I've got every single license going. My license fees are a fortune every year. And I just find it a little bit disrespectful, really, when these people are coming into the game now, acting as agents and haven't got a license, haven't served the time, haven't done the apprenticeship. And they're getting all these good fights because they're involved with people who's got money or contacts. And they're sort of like brainwashing these kids. And they don't really know what they're letting themselves in for, to be honest. And like the board put out the other week that they're not going to listen to any fighter that's involved with people in the game that's not got licenses. So if obviously something goes wrong and somebody's acting on behalf as a manager, then they haven't got a leg to stand on when it comes to obviously purses, contracts and that. And yeah, I just think it's wrong, really. I mean, they should have a license. The board shouldn't let anybody in the game who hasn't got a license when everybody else is paying their fees. So it is what it is. I mean, that's the way the world is now and how it's changed. But not just that. I mean, it's so easy for other people to get licenses that haven't served the time, and it's just making a bit of a mockery of the sport, really, in my opinion.
It's been said a few times, it's the easiest sport to infiltrate, isn't it, Carl? You know,
100%.
Someone brings the mate into the gym watching them, and all of a sudden they're giving water in the corner. Before you know it, they're changing the gum shield, and then they're giving advice. And you see some characters, don't you, in these gyms?
Yeah, you know, it's changed. It's changed so much, and like I say, everybody's involved in boxing now. They know it's an easy sport to get involved in, and it's just the word professional just goes out the window. I mean, it's a big word, the name professional, and you should be proud of being a professional fighter. I mean, a professional sportsman, and some of the people involved in the professional boxing side just haven't got a clue, and it's not good. It's not safe, and things need to change. We need to clamp down a bit now on who's getting licenses and who's coming into the sport, in my opinion.
You know what? I don't necessarily agree with the board with their 3-year rule to get a manager's license. What I'd like to see happen is you put like in football for agents. I can only speak with football. I don't know other sports where you have to put down, say, a 20 grand deposit or bond, which you get back after 5 years if you haven't offended or done things wrong. That's what I'd like to see happen.
Well, that's what we do with promoting. I mean, promoters have to put a bond down.
Right, round 4, over to you, John.
Yeah, you know, we're in a time where the sport's crying out for exciting, engaging, high-quality fighters. And I think David Avanesyan's slipping through the net, in danger of slipping through the net, Carl. He's always good to watch, you know. Went through that inconsistent spell where he won a couple, but he's really hit his straps recently. He's fantastic form. The win over Kelly, I believe, was the most watched non-pay-per-view fight of the last times. I know it's not your fault. I know it's not David's fault. I know it's not Neil's fault. But it's beyond belief to me why they've not built up this rivalry with Ben and just aimed for 18 months down the line, built both guys up, kept David busy. I just hope he's 32 now, David, and I just hope this peak is in and this prime is in doesn't slip away.
Yeah, I mean, what I'm disappointed about is after David beat Josh Kelly, Eddie was on here saying what he's going to do for him and he deserves a world title fight, and he was mentioning names and all that. But the names were being offered are like just banana skins, like 16-0 kids, 16-1 up-and-coming prospects. David's past that now. We don't need to go down that route. We need a shot at a world title, a final eliminator, or a world title fight. I mean, I've been saying to people that Conor Benn's a backward step. He is a backward step. But if he can't deliver a big fight, then let's have Conor Benn. It's a massive fight. You know what I mean? But I know they don't want David. I know they know that he's not ready for him. But don't offer us banana skins that we don't want to take. We're not going to risk taking. In this position we're in now, we're in the top 5 across the board in the world governing every single organisation. We need a big name or a final eliminator for a world title, in my opinion. And like you said, I don't want David to miss out now. He's at that stage where he's got to get a big opportunity. Don't keep coming back to us with names that we don't want to box. I mean, not saying that David won't beat him, but some of them are banana skins and we don't need them. We need to move on now. I mean, it's a backward step all these kids are offering us. So Neil's working really hard. I mean, his mandatory's been put out there for the European title. It's gone out to purse bid to due on the 16th of June. Again, it's his 21-0, the kid, that Jordi Weiss from France. I think it's an easy fight for David. It's not a banana skin, so if that happens, we'll have it. I mean, I think David walks through him, but I don't want no banana skins for him. We want either kids who are confident of walking through to keep pushing on for a world title or get us a crack now.
Yeah, my fear, John, is something similar. I think what you would maybe getting at, John. I fear that, you know, through no fault of anyone's, who's certainly in his management team, that his career could peter out. He's been a pro for 12 years now. In these last 4 fights, I think he's beaten the Spanish kid Laraja twice, and Josh Kelly. He deserves a lot more than that. And you just worry that could his career peter out with a series of these European defences against French, Spanish and Italian kids.
Yeah.
And suddenly he's 34, approaching his 35th birthday when that final eliminator's there, and he's been a pro 15 years. Round 5, fantastic. And you know what? I went to the Fight Zone show in Sheffield on Saturday night. Of course, saw Carl there. And you know what? Go away. The setup's incredible. We can speak about that another week and maybe get someone from there on here, John. But the fact that seeing fans let back in, it was just brilliant. You know, I got there at 5:30, 5:45, and the 500-600 fans that they're permitted in the arena, they was all there drinking, having a good night, a good laugh. And you just think, it really hit home to me how horrible it's been boxing without fans. That 500 there the other night, there was, you know, even a kid from Scotland, and I apologise, his name escapes me, who's Sam Kinnock's got. He brought about
Calvin
40.
McCord.
Calvin McCord, sorry. Yeah, he's unbeaten, about 7 or 8 now. He brought about 30 down. Your man, Levi Giles, bought God knows how many from Grimsby. You know, Reece Mole bought an army, you know, from West Yorkshire. It was just fantastic seeing people there, and you just cannot ever go back there again. And you know what? These fighters fighting in these behind closed doors, all credit to them, all credit to everyone who's worked. But it was so good seeing the fans back in there. It's sort of, you know, I was getting a bit bored with boxing, you know, watching it behind closed doors, and a little bit of my soul was taken out of my love for the sport. But Saturday night rekindled that, and it wasn't because of the fights, it was because seeing people and then coming back and watching on Sunday the BT show on Sky Plus, on BT Plus, whatever it's called, what you record it on, and seeing and hearing all those Stoke lunatics singing Delilah. It's fantastic that the crowds are back.
Yeah, really, really good. I mean, like you say, you can't beat the crowds, and everyone's coming out now. They're wanting a good night. I mean, obviously, some of the ticket prices are expensive, but they're going to pay it because, I mean, we're limited to numbers, so we have to make it work, and that's how it's happening. And to get all these fans back in and having a good night, it's great to see. I mean, especially on TV shows with in the background, seeing them all enjoying themselves, and we haven't got to keep putting the fake crowd noise in.
Yeah, well, we can't hear the corners either, can we, anymore? You can't hear the bollockings and swearing in the corners.
And
yeah, the trainers, that was getting bad, wasn't it?
The trainers getting it wrong as well. You can't hear them, can you? You mean, I think he got it wrong there. Final round over to you, and you want to talk about boxing now and then, Carl, I understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's remarkable how it's changed boxing over the years. I mean, obviously, social media has been a massive thing. It's changed the face of boxing. It's got a lot of fighters, a big profile now, and some deserve it more than others. I mean, back in the day when I was fighting, there was no YouTube. I think BoxRec was around. You could always have a look at the records and that. But the kids nowadays have got more footage than anybody they want to see. They can see everything they're up to. You can even see what box shorts they're wearing. You know what I mean? It's just changed, and I just think boxing in general has become different. I mean, the way it's all moving, and good or bad, I don't know. I mean, probably a little bit jealous, really, because I mean, I'd like to have been around nowadays with everything that's happening and the opportunities fighters are getting. I mean, I used to beg and crave for a TV opportunity, and unfortunately, they always come in the away corner against red hot kids. You know what I mean? But I really believe nowadays, if I was around, that I would have probably got an opportunity as an own fighter on a TV show. So that's how different the game is. I mean, you can't fault it. I mean, it's fantastic for the fighters nowadays, but it's changed so much.
Carl, if you had to bring one thing from your time in the sport into modern day, what would it be? What do you think it's missing these days that you had?
I think it's not got. I mean, they haven't got the competitiveness as what they had back in my day. I mean, you can get a kid easy now to 10, 12 and 0. Back in my day, it was a lot tougher. I mean, it was a lot more tougher. I mean, even the journeyman was solid kids and tough. You know what I mean? It's a lot different now. But yeah, I mean, you can progress a fighter a bit easier nowadays than when I were boxing. So, I mean, I wouldn't change it because that's how it's just gone with the times. You know what I mean? But it's a lot, in my opinion, it's a lot more easier now than back in the day.
You know, look, it's great that all these kids are earning money. There's kids on Fight Zone earning some serious dough for 4 and 6 rounds. You know, but, you know, a couple of things we touched on, social media. You think that you go back, John, to Carl, 10, 15 years ago, when we just about had the internet really taking off, you had a boxing message board where you'd all exchange, and message boards would be the bane of boxing. They're now insignificant message boards pretty much because we've got social media. My other thing that, you know, gets to me now, and I don't begrudge these kids the successes, you know, we're getting these kids to 9, you were touched on there, 9 and 10 and 0 who've come off the unlicensed because they sell tickets. And it's the big reason we can do that is because of Box Rec, because you can just do your Box Rec matchmaking.
Yeah.
You know, in this era. But you know what? You know, it is different, you know, change from, I've been around in boxing since the late 80s. You see the change. You know, I don't think you've got the characters you certainly had in the 90s, particularly. I think I've had this discussion with you. When you were boxing, Carl, we had some mad nights, you know, some potty nights. And I think the characters are missing. But you know what? If kids are earning a living from it, I don't begrudge anyone who can make money out of boxing, whether they deserve that purse or not. I have no problem at all because they're doing a really hard sport. And when you think about it, there might be a kid earning $5,000 for 12 rounds and he's put 10 weeks into it. It's not a lot of dough. So anyone who can earn anything from this sport, who is a professional boxer, I will say, I've got no problem with at all. Whether they're good enough to go, whether they got, you know, plastic records, they're 15 and 0, and we all know they're not going to go anywhere. They're still getting in there, going to the gym, maybe leaving work from the building site and going to the gym every night. I don't begrudge them anything. Boxing's changed, but if the fighters are earning money and better money than they were then, no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I earned peanuts in my career, honestly. I was a big seller as well. I mean, that's how much the game's changed money-wise as well, you know what I mean? I can remember fighting for an Midlands area title, you know what I mean, walking away with £1,000. I mean, kids are earning that for, you know what I mean, just turning up nowadays. It's crazy how it's changed, you know what I mean?
I'll tell you, you know, everyone knows everything these days, don't they? You know, the fight week press conferences and hotels and everything. What I used to do when I was 13, 14 and stuff, when there was a big fight in Manchester, I used to get the boxing news. I used to go to the back page and you could always find the phone number for Frank's office or something. And I'd ring up and whoever it'd be, would pick up the phone and I'd put on a deeper voice and say, "Where's the weigh-in today?" Jump on a bus and talk my way into one of the hotels in Manchester, like a hotel, a function room in the Renaissance or something like that. And
that's brilliant. That's brilliant.
That goes on there about characters in boxing. But you're a character, John, because people, that's what I'm saying. Where are these characters gone who pull strokes like that when they're school kids? The people that are running, who are going to be running boxing in 20 years' time are sitting by a computer now, putting stats into them about fighters, about, you know, techniques and all that. That, John, is what I'm on about characters in boxing missing. You've backed up what I said there. Where are the characters? That's what I miss. I don't begrudge any of the money, but I want more characters in it. You know, maybe because I'm nearly 60 and I'm old. Maybe that's why. But you're most probably, John, the youngest character left in boxing.
Don't know. I've gone past 40 now. I know I'm not a look 21, but I'm past 40.
Well, you're still one of the youngest characters, mate. If you were doing that, ringing up Frank's office, putting on the gruff voice, that's nothing but respect, mate. That's no one would do that now. What they do now is send an email from a moody email address.
Yeah, we got to know John Robinson from the WBU and everything. He used to give us T-shirts and stickers.
Brilliant, and he was always up in Manchester, of course, for the Ricky nights, wasn't he, Big John? Big John Robinson.
We did. We actually did the exact same trick when Roy Jones fought John Ruiz in Caesar's Palace.
Cool.
It was a closed weigh-in, and we pulled the same trick and got in there as well.
Who did you have to ring for that one?
God no, we just talked our way into that one. That was a good one.
Most of the journalists who cover boxing these days, John, they wouldn't know what a phone is. They do interviews on email. But there you go. Anything more to say, Carlos, before we let you go?
No, mate, this is a really good thing you've got going. I like it.
I like getting you on. You always got something to say. So
you're proper boxing people, you two as well. You're really knowledgeable, and it's great talking to you both.
Yeah, and hey, John's the king, mate, for putting on the gruff voice and ringing Frank's office. That's the winner tonight. That is. John stole it. You were very good, and you were very good. You was ahead on points as the best contributor tonight. John was like Chavez Mildred Taylor and done you with two seconds to go in the pod. Fellas, I really enjoyed it tonight. Thanks, John, as always. And Carl, we'll get you on again like we do every couple of months. Yeah. I know you love talking boxing. You better go and spend some time with your family if you've been out all day.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me on, lads.
Thank you, fellas. Cheers. Thanks a lot, John.
No worries, pal.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.